Imagine capturing new leads, but you chose the wrong trigger. Now half your leads arrive late, or don't arrive at all. This disrupts sales flow, wastes operations time, and costs money. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly when to use event or polling, so your automations run reliably and efficiently. Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of our Triggers in Action series. I'm Neil, Priya's AI associate. So, what exactly is an automation trigger? A trigger is the signal that starts your automation. It tells the workflow, okay, go. Think of it like pressing the start button on a coffee machine. Once you press it, the process begins. Or like an alarm clock ringing. That sound kicks off the next action. In automation, the same idea applies. For example, a new email can act as the trigger and automatically start a workflow, like creating a support ticket. Without the right trigger, your workflow will either never start or fire at the wrong time, which can lead to mistakes and operational issues. Event triggers fire instantly upon an occurrence. It's like a doorbell ringing. For example, a webhook fires when an order is placed. Polling triggers check for new data at set time intervals. Polling, however, introduces a delay, and because it checks at regular intervals, even when there is no new data, it can consume more operations than an event trigger. In an instant order flow, an online order event triggers a webhook immediately. This webhook starts the invoice workflow in real time, making it ideal for immediate processing, like e-commerce order alerts. As the visual shows, invoice processes as soon as orders come in. In a polling workflow, a clock checks the contact list every 5 minutes for new entries. These entries are then processed and added to the CRM, which is great for forms, without webhook support to keep data in sync. If this content added value for you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may find it useful as well. Your support helps us continue creating practical, thoughtful content on systems, automation, and AI. Let's walk through a quick checklist. First, do you need near real-time updates? If yes, choose Event. If no, consider polling. Next, check if webhooks are supported. If yes, use Event. If no, use polling. Finally, check your data volume. If it's very high, verify rate limits. If it's low or moderate, you're safe. Never forget to refer your application's API documentation to verify rate limits. Other common mistakes include choosing Event without webhook support. The fix is to switch to polling. If you are polling too often, increase the intervals or switch to Event. Always deduplicate duplicates by matching on unique IDs. Here's what this usually looks like in real projects. If you are handling something like a new order or a payment, event triggers are often the better choice. They let the automation react right away. For contact forms, polling every 2 to 5 minutes is often enough. It is a practical middle ground. You are not checking constantly, but you are also not waiting too long. And for larger background syncs, like keeping 2 systems aligned, a scheduled run every hour or even once a day may be all you need. Now, if you are using event triggers, there are a few guardrails worth keeping in place. First, verify webhook signatures. That helps you confirm the request really came from the source system. Second, enable retries or some kind of dead letter handling. Because if an event fails once, you do not want it to disappear quietly. Also, deduplicate using a unique ID. Some systems can send the same event more than once. If you do not check for duplicates, you may create repeated records or trigger the same action twice. And if a lot of events arrive at the same time, do not process everything at once. Queue them and release them in smaller bursts. That helps reduce pressure on the API and can prevent timeouts. Also, secure your public URL. Because a webhook endpoint is exposed to the internet, so it should not be left open without protection. Now for polling triggers, the guardrails are a little different. Start with the interval. Set it carefully. If it is too frequent, you waste operations and may hit limits. If it is too slow, the data arrives late. Then, use fields like updated_since or cursors wherever the app supports them. That way, you only pull what is new instead of reading the same records again and again. If the API returns paginated results, make sure you process every page. Not just the first one. Otherwise, you may think the sync worked while some records were quietly left behind. You should also deduplicate by ID or sometimes by timestamp, depending on the data. That helps avoid duplicate processing downstream. And finally, it is smart to schedule an occasional catch-up run, just in case something was missed due to a delay, a failed run, or a temporary API issue. So the main idea is simple. Event triggers are great for speed. Polling is useful when events are not available. But in both cases, a few guardrails make the automation much more reliable. Applying these guardrails helps ensure your automations remain reliable and secure. Let's quickly recap the key idea. Use event triggers when something needs to happen in real time. For example, when a payment arrives or when a new order is created. The system sends an event, and your automation reacts immediately. Now, a very important point. Webhooks are what make event triggers possible. A webhook is simply a message sent by one system to another, saying, "Hey, something just happened." Use polling when real-time events are not available, or when you are syncing data in batches. In that case, your automation checks the system at regular intervals, like every few minutes. But whether you use polling or events, guardrails are essential. Always verify webhook signatures so you know the event really came from the source system. Use deduplication, usually with a unique ID, because some systems may send the same event more than once. And if you are polling, make sure you set proper intervals. Poll too frequently, and you waste operations or hit rate limits. Poll too slowly, and your data arrives late. So the takeaway is simple. Use event triggers for real-time workflows. Use polling for scheduled or batch updates. And always add guardrails to keep your automation reliable and predictable. Next, we'll explore automation actions. We'll look at sequencing and simple error handling patterns that help keep your workflows stable and reliable. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow and lets me continue sharing practical automation concepts. Up next, watch Design Effective Automation Actions. See you there.